In 1914, the world was characterized by advanced technology, culture, and fashion, marking the pinnacle of civilization. It was time for a war. Everyone anticipated a major conflict on the horizon. France sought to reclaim territories taken by Germany, while Germany aimed to expand its control over others' possessions. Germany was also building a formidable navy that made Britain uneasy. These two empires perceived themselves as superior, but many inhabitants did not share this view. Some had even declared independence with Russian support. Everyone was gossiping about each other, highlighting the significant advancements in military technology since the last major war, which suddenly made everyone eager to engage in combat. In a region of Austria-Hungary lived Serbs and Bosnians who resented living under Austro-Hungarian rule. The Austro-Hungarian Archduke, Franz Ferdinand, visited this area for a drive in an open-top car with his route publicly announced in advance. Predictably, this did not go well. Assassins lay in wait along his route and threw bombs at his car, but they missed and instead injured officers behind him. The Archduke should have gone into hiding and left Sarajevo, which would have prevented the war. However, he did not leave. Instead, he returned to the open-top car to visit the injured officers at the hospital. The driver took a wrong turn and coincidentally stopped beside one of the failed assassins, who then shot him. Austria-Hungary was understandably outraged and suspected the Serbian government of involvement, which might have been true. They approached their ally Germany, saying, "Hey, Germany, we're going to declare war on Serbia," and Germany supported this decision. Austria-Hungary sent Serbia a list of impossible demands, and when Serbia refused, they declared war. Austria-Hungary and Germany were allies, while Serbia was protected by Russia, which was allied with France, leading to a chain of declarations of war among them. Montenegro also joined the conflict. France and Britain had a sort of alliance, so when France asked Britain for support, Britain initially hesitated before deciding to stay out of it, which was advantageous for Germany. Germany had a plan, knowing that Russia was slow to mobilize for war. With their leader in charge, Germany intended to rapidly deploy troops into France, while Russia was preparing, defeat France, then shift all troops to Russia and defeat Russia, resulting in everyone speaking German and eating Pfefferpotus daily. However, there was a problem. France had numerous forts and defenses along its German border, which Germany could not afford to engage. Therefore, Germany decided to bypass them by marching through Belgium. Belgium was neutral, but Germany planned to march 750,000 troops through it to circumvent France's defenses. They hoped Belgium would remain passive, but it resisted instead. Belgium fought back effectively, slowing down the German advance. What made matters worse was Britain's intervention, as they were outraged by Germany's invasion of neutral countries, leading Britain to declare war on Germany. Germany continued pushing through Belgium and committed atrocities along the way. They also wore spiked and skull-adorned uniforms, which did not help their image. The Allies launched a massive propaganda campaign which began to influence global opinion, notably in America. U.S. President Woodrow Wilson saw himself as a peacemaker and spent most of the war trying to broker peace. However, there was a significant population of ethnic Germans in the United States who initially supported Germany but became less enthusiastic as Germany committed atrocities in Belgium. Let's play Spot the French Soldier. Did you see him? It was easy, as he wore a bright blue uniform with red trousers. The Germans also easily spotted him, which was not good for the French. When the French marched slowly in columns through the countryside, the Germans easily decimated them with their powerful artillery. All nations involved in this war initially adopted outdated tactics and uniforms, which they had to update significantly during the Great War, as this conflict was unlike anything seen before. Russia was ready for war much sooner than expected. Austria-Hungary was asked to handle the situation, but they struggled. Germany had to divert some troops to the east to defend against the Russians. The chief of staff of the Austro-Hungarian army was a handsome man, but proved to be an ineffective strategist. Austria-Hungary consistently ignored Germany's advice and only sought help when they were in trouble. Austria-Hungary even suffered defeats at the hands of tiny Serbia, who repelled all their initial invasion attempts. The situation was more favorable for Germany in the north, where they nearly annihilated the Russian Second Army. On the Western Front, the Germans continued advancing and were close to Paris. At this point, it seemed plausible that Germany would achieve a quick victory, but things began to go awry. The French commander-in-chief realized something had to be done and ordered his armies to stop retreating. In the ensuing battle, a gap opened in the German lines. If a gap forms, the enemy can exploit it by attacking from the side and rear, so the German armies had to retreat. The Allies launched a counterattack, prompting the Germans to dig into defensive positions. The Allies did the same. Both sides moved north, attempting to outflank each other along the way. When they reached the sea, they were in a stalemate, with trench systems stretching from the coast to Switzerland, marking the beginning of trench warfare on the Western Front. Here's how trench warfare worked. Two opposing lines of trenches faced each other across no man's land. One side would bombard the other with hundreds of thousands of artillery shells, sometimes for days. This had a profound psychological impact on soldiers, leaving many shell-shocked. Then the attacking troops would leave their trenches and rush across no man's land, a muddy, wet expanse filled with shell craters and barbed wire. The defending trench would unleash machine gun fire on the attackers, causing thousands of casualties. The attackers would send wave after wave until either they gave up or the opposing trench was finally overrun. Months of fighting would result in the deaths of thousands to gain just a few meters or kilometers of land. Living in the trenches was grueling, with corpses, mud that could engulf you, pools of poisonous water, rats, disease, and unbearable odors. It's astonishing that millions of soldiers endured these conditions for years under the orders of their commanders.